I know everybody must have experienced that, where you're standing on the edge of a roof and you're looking down and you're thinking like, what if I just jumped? Well, this film is you jumping. Hey everybody, my name is Nick. I'm a director and editor living in Taiwan, and today I want to talk about the film The Sadness, directed by Rob Jabaz. This is a film that is so good that I'm actually a little bit mad at myself that I haven't watched it and reviewed it until now. I think a lot of the hardcore horror fans out there have probably already heard of this film. It's gotten a lot of praise from people that are really into these kind of gory genre flicks, and it is definitely well deserved. I feel really late to the party because after I watched this, I realized that this might be the best horror movie that's ever been made in Taiwan. As a disclaimer, I do have to say that this movie isn't for everyone. Its gore is really over the top disgusting. Its content is depraved and very disturbing. Essentially, think of all the worst things that you could think of that might be in this movie, and you probably haven't thought of maybe even half of them. But if you are a hardcore horror fan and you can stomach this kind of stuff, then we can proceed with the warning out of the way. So the film is about an outbreak of a virus that turns people into depraved, psychotic maniacs. So they're sort of like zombies, if you want to call them that. I think, in some ways it's marketed as a zombie film, but it's a lot more than that. They don't become brainless, the people that are infected. They become very aggressive and very creatively violent, and they act out all of these disgusting and base primal desires. It's a really kind of terrifying idea because the people that are infected have all of their mental faculties, but they're just totally and utterly insane. What's very impressive about it is that it manages to maintain a very fun B-movie aesthetic, but at the same time there is, I think, something elevated about it in both the polished and really beautiful way that it's shot, but also in the themes that it forced me at least to consider and think about. The philosophical message of the film for me appears to be that there really is very little holding society together, and as human animals we're prone, if not even destined, to kind of devolve into depravity. And an interesting point to consider is that the film keeps this idea kind of open-ended as to the cause. Is this something that's innate in our nature as people, or is this something that is learned or forced onto us by the situations and society that we're in? There isn't really an answer in this movie, and I don't think there wants to be an answer or needs to be an answer. Are we infected and therefore we become crazy like this, or is the infection just bringing out something that we would have done anyway? I think there might be a temptation to kind of put a political valence on the idea, but I think that's a bad impulse, because that forces you to suck the life out of a fun movie like this. And once you start going down the road of what is this movie saying about, COVID or current events, then you're really boxing yourself into a position where you decide what it's trying to say, and that forces your kind of social constructions and ways of seeing the world to either force you to like or dislike the film, when for me it's actually more interesting to stay out of that realm and keep it in the realm of just kind of philosophy of human nature or sociology. But even sociology gets a little risky because sociology then leads to politics. I think Rob is excellent at building tension and then delivering on that buildup. He gives you something that feels like it's worth the wait or the buildup to it. I'm thinking of the first time the violence erupts and how throughout the very beginning of the movie it's a little bit slow and it's kind of teased. The violence is teased and then pulled back and then teased and then pulled back. And then finally it explodes and it's just glorious. And then it lulls again and then the violence explodes again. And that's the whole movie kind of goes along this kind of roller coaster ride of playing with pacing I think the finer technical details of the movie are also very well done. Everything from the production and design of the sound to the score to the way the camera moves, it all feels really polished and well done and exactly what it should be. The way that elements are revealed is expertly executed. You know, there's some really genuinely creepy slow reveals of disgusting things, and then there's also shocking splatters that happen all of a sudden. There's a mix of these things, and the creativity in which they're presented and the shot selection of it is just very high level. The use of gore is some of the most creative that I can remember. The execution of the practical effects to me feels like exactly what I want from gore. It's just the right amount of over-the-top camp, but it's mixed with enough realism that doesn't feel childish, and it still has the power to disturb you, but it draws it back into comical enough that it stays fun. It's not just gross, even though it is gross. It's very interesting. I would say the effects and the contents of this film kind of walk this very, very fine line of being fun and revelatory, but then also being genuinely disturbing. Not just in the way that the violence and the gore is used, but also in like the way that the film is constructed and put together. I'm specifically thinking of the subway scene, which reminded me of a real incident that happened in Taiwan. Wait, I don't know if it was inspired by that or not, but I think that thinking about that as I was watching it really genuinely disturbed me. But then the gore is so over the top that I started also smiling and laughing. And then I started thinking about the people in the film smiling and laughing at violence, and then that disturbed me again. So you're kind of doing this weird yo-yo back and forth over enjoying and being just kind of genuinely disturbed by this movie. Later there's a set piece on a basketball course with these like high school boys that are kind of just mutilating this guy, and it reminds me of like very real incidents of bullying that I have heard about or that might occur. It seems very possible that this could be a real event happening. But then the setting and the blocking and the way the action is done is all really thrilling and really cool. And just as an aside, the front kick is utilized in a lot of the action sequences, which is I really appreciate, because I feel like the front kick is a very underutilized action fighting device that would be the most effective technique for a normal person to use if you're ever in an altercation. Front kick the dude. Can't go wrong with a front kick. So anyways, it's very thrilling and cool to kind of experience this back and forth between this like enjoying the movie and also being disturbed and disgusted. And I think it just really shows kind of an expert mastery of craft to be able to do that in your film. What I kind of came to decide about this film when I was thinking about it is that it is the cinematic embodiment of the feeling you get when you look over a cliff and part of you wants to jump. And the film is basically forcing you to jump, pushing you off of the cliff, or forcing your hand into the oil and making you watch the skin of your hand burn off. Like, that is what the experience of watching this film is like. And it extends to the execution of all the scenes and the contents of the film, where you kind of know, in a way, you kind of know what is going to happen, and you think like, I don't know if I want to see that. And then the film shows you it anyway and does the awful thing that maybe you were thinking might occur. Thinking of one thing in particular that I don't want to spoil, but basically you expect it to happen and then it does, and you know, you feel a little strange about it. So this film to me is basically that feeling. I know everybody must have experienced that, where you're standing on the edge of a roof and you're looking down and you're thinking like, what if I just jumped? Well, this film is you jumping. I can say though that if you can't get into the content of the film, you do kind of have to recognize that this is a triumph for aspiring filmmakers everywhere. From what I know about the story of the director, he's a self-made guy who started making independently produced shorts and animations, and off the quality of that work, he was given a chance to make a feature film, this feature, The Sadness, and when he did, he made something that was completely and totally uncompromising, was his vision all the way, and it's really well done, and he showed off all of his skills, and you can see that he has a lot to offer as a director and is thoughtful and really good at what he does. I also really want to see the next thing that he makes, even though, to be honest, I'm a little nervous to see what it might be, because this is right on the line of what I can handle. I mean, like I said, it really does go, it went back and forth over like, oof, this is making me feel kind of sick, and then also loving every second of it. So it's a fine, he really does walk that line, so it's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive to watch. So thanks for watching. If you want me to review any other films, please let me know in the comments. Give me a shout out, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about the channel, and see you guys next time. Bye-bye.